Have you ever felt grateful for friends who showed up for you, but simultaneously heartbroken about those who didn't? Or maybe you found yourself loving your partner deeply, but still having important needs that aren't being met. Hi, I'm Leah, and today we're talking about how more than one thing can be true at the same time. For the last several years, I've been helping clients transform their communication and inner voice. I've witnessed people go from overthinking to trusting themselves, and from feeling stuck in self-doubt to embracing their authentic voice. And one of the most powerful mind shifts I've seen is when you can stop forcing yourself to choose between two truths and start holding both at once. So in this video, I'm going to share 5 powerful truth pairs that can absolutely coexist, even when your brain is telling you and trying to convince you that you have to pick just one. Plus, I'll give you some practical techniques, including some of the mindfulness practices and EFT tapping methods I use with my clients to integrate these seemingly contradictory feelings so that you can feel more whole, make decisions with more confidence, and stop the endless mental back and forth. The first truth pair is you can be absolutely grateful for the people who showed up for you and deeply disappointed by those who didn't. So when something difficult happens in our lives, maybe a health crisis, a job loss, or major life transition, we often notice both who steps up and who steps back. Our brains want to simplify this into one emotion. Either I should just be grateful for who showed up, or I have a right to be hurt by who didn't. I worked with a client who was struggling with this exact situation after a major career setback. She felt guilty for being disappointed in certain friends who weren't supportive, thinking she should just be grateful for those who were. But this forced positivity was actually preventing her from processing her real, very hurt feelings. So here's the technique I taught her. Create space for both emotions in your body by literally giving them physical space. So close your eyes and imagine your gratitude living in your heart area, warm and expansive. And imagine your disappointment residing in your shoulders or chest, not to judge it, just to acknowledge that it's there too. Take a few deep breaths and say, I can feel thankful and let down at the same time. Both are true, both are valid. We actually also used EFT tapping technique to reinforce this integration, tapping through points while acknowledging both. Even though I feel disappointed in some friends, I deeply and completely accept myself, and I'm grateful for those who showed up. This tapping helped her nervous system integrate both truths without one canceling the other. And she started practicing this. She noticed something fascinating happening. Instead of her disappointment contaminating her gratitude, or vice versa, she honored her disappointment without feeling guilt. And she could genuinely appreciate the supportive friends without the shadow of resentment. This allowed her to have honest conversations with some of the people who'd let her down, either deepening those relationships or giving clarity about which connections were worth investing in right now. Truth pair number 2. You can deeply, deeply love your work and need strong boundaries from it. This is especially relevant for business owners, creatives, and heart-centered professionals. You know, we're being told, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life, which then creates this false expectation that if you truly love your work, you should be willing to sacrifice everything for it. And I've seen this with so many clients who feel guilty setting boundaries around work they care about. I worked with a business owner who was drowning in work, missing payments, neglecting self-care, and feeling like she couldn't step away because this business is my baby. What transformed things for her was reframing boundaries not as a rejection of her work, but as a prerequisite for doing it sustainably. We worked on what I call the battery method. Think of yourself as a battery that powers your work. So when you're at 100%, you bring your best creativity, discernment, and energy. But as that percentage drops, the quality of your work suffers. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're how you recharge your battery. I'm going to say it again. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're how you recharge your battery. We incorporated mindfulness practices like 20-minute meditation before even opening up her laptop, absolutely no email after 7 p.m., and one full day completely unplugged from work each week. Within a month, her stress levels dropped dramatically, and she actually found herself more productive during work hours. You don't have to choose between loving your work and taking care of yourself. In fact, the deepest form of commitment to your work is ensuring that you can do it excellently and sustainably for years to come. Truth pair number 3. You can deeply love and appreciate your partner and still have important unmet needs in your relationship. This is such a critical truth that many, many people struggle with. We've been conditioned to believe and think that if we truly love someone, that they should be able to meet all of our needs and just fulfill us completely and wholly. And that acknowledging any unmet needs somehow means our love isn't real or strong enough. Now, I've worked with a client who was in a loving and committing partnership, but felt guilty for wanting more emotional connection than her partner naturally provided. She'd think, I know he loves me in his way, but I'm feeling resentful that I'm not getting more. And she worried that acknowledging her unmet needs would invalidate all the ways that her partner provided love. The breakthrough came when we reframed love not as a complete package, but as a living, growing garden that needed different types of care. We developed what I call the love and needs inventory, where she identified what she deeply valued and appreciated about her partner, specific qualities and actions. What needs remained important to her that weren't being fully met? Which of those needs might be met by her partner with clearer communication? Which needs she might fulfill through other relationships or self-care. During our sessions, we used EFT tapping to work through the guilt and conflict she felt. We tapped while holding both truths. Even though I want more from our relationship, the love I share for my partner is deep and real. This helped her nervous system integrate these seemingly contradictory feelings. Their relationship actually deepened because they could now hold this complexity together. Her partner didn't feel like he was failing because she clearly expressed appreciation for what he did provide, and she didn't feel resentful because she had permission to acknowledge and address her valid needs. Remember, acknowledging unmet needs isn't a rejection of what you have. It's an invitation to grow together and create an even more fulfillment in your relationship. Acknowledging unmet needs isn't a rejection of what you have. Truth pairing number 4. You can be energized by social connection and need meaningful personal space. As 100% extrovert myself, I love being around people, and I absolutely get my energy from social interaction. But I've discovered that I still need intentional alone time, not to recharge in the traditional introverted sense, but to process, reflect, and reconnect with myself. This truth was one that my client struggled with too. She loved being surrounded by people and would pack her calendar with social events, workshops, community activities. But she'd find herself feeling oddly disconnected from herself, almost like she'd lost touch with her own inner compass, despite all the external connection. So what we discovered that we need different types of social energy and different types of personal space. So when we created the connection spectrum, identifying different qualities of social interaction in her life. So we have the high energy, fun social gatherings that left her feeling buzzed, but not necessarily seen, to heart-centered, meaningful conversations that nourished her soul, creative collaborations that stimulated her mind, and finally, reflective solitude that allowed her to integrate all these experiences. Through guided mindfulness exercises, we helped her develop a practice of intentional presence. Even just 20 minutes of journal writing in the morning or a solo walk without her phone, that made all her social connections more meaningful because she was bringing her whole self to them. You don't have to choose between being a social butterfly and having a rich inner life. Most vibrant extroverts I know who are balanced love their connection with deliberate moments of personal reflection, not to escape people, but to show up more fully when they're with them. And finally, truth pair number 5, you can be genuinely proud of how far you've come and still be hungry for more growth. This might be the most important one of all. So many of us get caught in a guilt cycle where either we're not appreciating our progress or we're not pushing ourselves enough. So we think that truly celebrating our achievements means we should be content and not want more, or that having ambition means that we're satisfied with what we've already done. One of my most powerful client examples involves someone who had a very difficult childhood, where she was unseen, unmet, and felt very unloved. This created deep-seated belief that she shouldn't be a priority, even to herself. So through our work together, we used EFT tapping to address both sides of this truth. We tapped through acknowledging the pain and realness of her past experiences, validating how they shaped her beliefs, and simultaneously recognizing that this belief no longer served her presently and in her present reality. During our tapping sessions, we would acknowledge, even though I learned I shouldn't be a priority, that was then and this is now, and I can choose differently. And this is what I call the growth spiral. Unlike a straight line where you're either moving forward or backward, the spiral lets you revisit similar themes, but at a higher level each time. Through EFT and mindfulness, we created a ritual where she'd start by honoring where she came from and how far she'd traveled, and then set an intention for her next level of growth, and finally connect the dots between them, seeing how her past experiences were actually providing wisdom for future growth. This shift in perspective allowed her to fully honor her journey and remain excited about continued development without either one diminishing the other. Her confidence skyrocketed because she could simultaneously value how far she'd come while being open about her ongoing healing journey. You don't have to choose between satisfaction and ambition. The most fulfilling people I know are both deeply appreciative of their journey and compassionately committed to continuing it. So these 5 truth pairs are just the beginning. Our lives are filled with beautiful complexities that don't fit into simple either-or categories. When we expand our capacity to hold seemingly contradictory truths, we create space for our full humanity. So the next time you find yourself thinking, it's either this or that, I either can't have this or I have to have that, I want you to pause and think. Ask, what if both are true? And notice how that subtle shift creates more freedom, more authenticity, and ultimately more peace. I'd love to know which of these truth pairs resonated with you the most. Drop a comment below sharing your experience with holding multiple truths in your life. If you found this valuable and want to dive deeper into transforming your communication, self-talk, and emotional landscape, I invite you to join me in the Becoming Room. It's a guided space for ongoing growth and embodied change, a monthly subscription that includes weekly group coaching sessions, practical tools, and a supportive community. Visit my website to learn more and see if it's the right fit for where you are. And if you're feeling ready to transform how you communicate with yourself and others, we can work together on finding which avenue is most beneficial for you, one-on-one or group or both. Let's connect. Thank you for being here, and remember, You contain multitudes. That's not a contradiction. It's what makes you beautifully human. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep following me for more videos. Thank you so much.